Welcome to my podcast, Actual Leigh. This is the continuation of last week's conversation. Let's dive right back in.
I have a big ass bin of film, like developed film. There's there's a word. There's another word for that.
Negatives?
Yes, thank you. That's the word. Negatives. It was there. I could see the shape of it, but I couldn't
Yeah, take it, braid. Words are hard.
Yeah, exactly. The and from when my early days before I switched to digital, and it is on my list of things I would like to do while I could still make use of it, is to digitize all that stuff. Because I have so much photography. Well, they make negative and slide scanners and stuff, so I would just need to get one and then sit my ass down and do it. It's tedious, but there are also services. If I had the money, I would just send them out to the service. I personally would prefer to find a local service where I could physically drop it off to them and physically pick it up, so I don't have to trust the mail with my negatives.
Oh yeah.
But because a lot of those photos, I don't, it's like I only have like one print or whatever, but they're not even necessarily great prints. They're just shit I got from like Walgreens or wherever it was cheapest at the time. But I have some really cool photos in there. Like I went to Mount St. Helens in 1995 and got some really cool photos there. And I love that. We went there right after the eruption in was it like 84 or whatever. So I got to see it when it was just ash and there was really nothing going on, and then getting to go there years later when you start to see the regrowth, and then getting to go again when there's even more regrowth and they've started rebuilding a park there and all that, and being able to compare memories, like the houses that were buried.
So cool.
And the trees look like Lego trees because they're all the same size because they all started growing at the same time.
That's so cool.
It's so surreal looking, and it's like this detail that you don't even think about until you're there, and then you're like, whoa, that was really cool. So yeah, it's one of those, I don't know. I got to go back there again sometime because it'd be cool to see it again all these years later. Because I'm sure now it looks just like it probably doesn't show the signs of that eruption so much anymore. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was obsessed with the Ring of Fire when I was a kid. All the volcanoes. There's the Ring of Fire through the Pacific area.
Yeah.
And loved learning about it. And it was just one of those things. Be like, hey, did you know? I don't remember any of that stuff, but I remember being totally enthralled with it. And when we would go places, my parents would give me the coloring books that were about it so I could color.
That's awesome. Sorry, it took me a split second. I was like, Ring of Fire. By your troop. I was like, oh, duh, hello. Ring of
Fire. Yeah, I hadn't heard it in a long time, so I'm surprised I remembered the name, but it's cool.
And then the song "Ring of Fire" came to mind. I was like, that's not what she's talking about. No.
But that's what I always think of when I hear that song. Is I think about the volcanoes.
I mean, there's also burning in it in the song, so it makes sense.
Yeah, just it's cool. There's so many cool little just things to see. If you go up the coast, all these different places to stop. There's other places where there's lava tubes that you can go in and stuff like that. It's cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, I just think it'd be so much fun, just I used to want to do it on a motorcycle, but I would accept doing it in a car, just going and wandering for a month, just stopping at all the weird roadside attractions, because there's like weird shit, like people building, you know, like their garage out of like glass bottles, or
Interesting.
the person that builds like little houses out of like pebbles and rocks, and
Oh,
and then it turns into this thing where they end up having like a gift shop, and you can buy like polished rocks there, and
oh, cool.
yeah, and I mean the whole country is like full of like random stuff like that, and I feel like that's where the real, I don't know, just the real meat and bones of the experience of traveling in the US is, right, are these roadside attractions where you get these like random ass things that people build and make, and then everybody stops to look at them just because. What does your mug say?
Wrong way. Sorry.
Oh, sometimes you forget you're awesome, so this is your reminder.
Yeah, Fred gave that to me. I was just thinking, like, if this wasn't a
Well, hold on a second. Your sound cut out, so I didn't hear what you said. It's still. Mm. It's done it a couple times, but it's usually just for a couple seconds.
okay, that's
Oh,
weird.
there, you're back now.
Okay, weird. Maybe it was like a connection thing. Anyway,
Maybe.
I was just thinking that she bought it and she gave it to me, right? But what if someone bought it for themselves? Would that be weird?
I don't think so. I think like that's like, like people that look in the mirror and are like, you can do it or whatever. Like it's like buying yourself flowers or whatever.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, I think like if it makes you feel better, makes you feel good, then do it.
that's true.
Yeah. I know some people would be like, oh, that's like egotistical, or I don't know, whatever, but like whatever. You know, we all need like we all need to be
Reminders.
built up, and if
Yeah,
we need to give it to ourselves sometimes, then do it.
right? Because like
Yeah.
sometimes you're in an environment where people aren't very like vocal about expressing their appreciation of you or acknowledging your efforts or whatever. And if that's the case, then it needs to come from somewhere, right? Because
Right.
we as humans are social creatures and we need that feedback.
Yeah. And our society isn't structured in a way where we get that feedback through our actions and interactions with other people as much. There are some people that have jobs where they get a better sense of like their role and their importance. But I think a lot of us have jobs and hobbies and just whatever, where there's no real sense of the impact that it has on others unless we get that feedback. And I don't think we really
Oh,
like
yeah.
evolved that way. Like that's, before we got to this point of having the system that we have, like it was more immediate. There was more of a sense of like, importance in impact and what we were doing. But I'm sure there's lots of jobs that wasn't true, but I think like in general, we've been just slowly moving more and more away from getting that feedback in a more like just sort of natural way.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people are like, if they do interact, it's just like to like something or something. Sometimes they don't really like say anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get that you like it, but what did you like about it?
Right. I get like people will tell me that they really like what I do, like they really like my clown pictures or something, but they never engage with my stuff. So how am I
Yeah, that's
supposed to
confusing.
know? Like I'll stop posting like, oh, I really miss your clown photos. And I'm like, yeah, but you never liked my posts or commented on them or shared them or anything. So, I mean, that's like, if I'm not getting engagement, I lose motivation. I stop doing the work. Like, it's like people don't realize that they have this superpower to make somebody else's day while having these little blips of joy that they're getting from those other people, right? So it's like I put the content out, it makes somebody really happy in that moment when they see the content, and they could give that back to me. So we're having an exchange, but instead they just take, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think they realize, like, I really make it a point to like engage with other people's stuff, so that they know that I saw it, you know?
Mhm.
And, you know, like on Instagram, I occasionally share people's stuff. I don't do it every day, but I'll like, you know, like artists and stuff. I make sure that I share their stuff pretty regularly so that, you know, because I just think it just makes people so happy. There's, you know, like, why wouldn't I want to give that to them when I like what they're doing? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I find it weird how people just kind of just assume that you're supposed to know what they're thinking if they don't tell you.
Right.
It's like,
Like,
we're not hive mind. I can't read your thoughts.
exactly. The whole telepathy thing is like, it's really weird. And, you know, I was thinking about that with um, like making certain types of content, like the spicy content. There is a lot of like assumption that if you're making that content, you know that you're hot. So therefore you don't need like the feedback.
That's really weird.
Yeah. And the thing is like, and I think like men, especially if they find someone attractive, um, they assume that that person knows that they're attractive because the man feels it. And men are, you know, not really raised in our culture to like communicate their feelings. So they just assume that everybody knows what they're thinking, right? And it, instead of like putting it out there, and it's like, no, you actually have to tell people, because you know they're not going to know if you don't say something, you know. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I've always been like aware of the fact that if I don't tell people how something makes me feel, that they're not going to know. But yeah. And maybe it makes, I'm sure some people, it just makes them feel vulnerable to say anything, but other people seem to legit expect that you should know what they were thinking. And it's like, no, I had no idea. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I thought you knew. It's like, did you ever once tell me?
Right. Yeah.
No? Well, then.
And honestly, even if you did tell me, you might have to tell me again on occasion, because my brain will tell me that you changed your mind. It like will do this like negative thing and talk me out of it. So
Yeah. Your mind is so cruel.
you know, so rude. I didn't even know it was like that until I started making content, because I never interacted with the world in a way where I would have looked for feedback. Like, I was always like, all of my jobs and everything I did was so behind the scenes. Even the photography, like, I wanted to do photography more professionally, but I didn't know how to like navigate that or push for it. And the few doorways or doors that opened for me required putting money in, and I didn't have the money. So it was like, you know, so I just was very used to just taking photos for my own enjoyment, sharing them where nobody saw them, or giving people copies of them, so that, because it was a perk of hanging out with me, and that was it. So it was like I was still always just providing and not seeking attention or whatever, you know. Like, literally I had jobs where I was totally invisible. I knew that I was keeping things
Oh.
running, but I did it so well that no one was really aware of what I was doing. And so changing my role to being in front of the camera, in front of people, where what I'm doing requires some form of attention, has made me like learn a lot about that part of my brain, and the fact that I have like a bottomless pit for positive attention. Like, you know, like if people give it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna put that in there. Like,
Oh.
you know, and I keep it, I hang on to it. It's like when I start to feel doubtful, or, you know, like maybe I should close my business, this shit sucks. I remember people that have bought stuff for me and how happy they are, and that because I have people randomly tell me about compliments they get on earrings or whatever, and I take that and I use it to like bolster myself when I start feeling like really discouraged or whatever. So it's like, yeah.
I'm glad you do that because, like, I don't think um, that. I mean, like, especially for when times are hard, like, and you don't have that feedback like instantaneously, you could definitely like use that to like, say to your brain, silence.
Yeah, exactly. And just be like, psst, psst. I mean, and some stuff like on TikTok where I was really discouraged, especially after I got banned and I haven't had regrowth on my account, that like hurt my feelings a lot because
Yeah.
people who claim to like be my friends or whatever didn't help me regrow. And I see them doing that for other people. And I'm like, what the hell? So I had to like really like do some work there to have perspective, where I basically decoupled, like my feelings of self-worth from these people that call themselves friends and just be like, well, they're not friends then. And so the way that I felt because they did that is just indicative of the fact that they're not friends and not about me not making good content or whatever, right? It's just, yeah. So it's like I play these kind of like these, they're not really mind games because I think what I'm thinking is really realistic, but it does take like a lot of work to like navigate around the default negativity, because there is like that program. We all like, I think most people have a certain amount of that, where when something doesn't feel good, there's like that negative voice that comes in that like kind of pushes the bad things that other people have said to us, at us. And then it's like you have to combat that. And so that's like something that I put a lot of effort into is recognizing that those voices are not mine, that they're not reflective of my priorities or what gives me joy in what I do. So when that noise is there and it's making me feel bad, I have to like sort of decouple from it and be like, this is just leftover bullshit from other people that I'm worried is true, but it's irrelevant. Even if it is true, it's irrelevant because if I enjoy making the content, I enjoy making the content and everything else is whatever, you know? Because I didn't ever start making content to get popular or whatever. I did it to make some people smile. And if I make a couple of people smile, which I do when I post stuff, job well done, you know? So I just have to remind myself of that and not get sucked into um, comparing myself to others or letting my own self-doubts kind of define the bad experiences that happen with social media,
Yeah.
because social media sucks. It's literally like being in junior high all over again for me.
Yeah.
Like just watching everybody else get stuff. But that's like, I'm only seeing the people who are getting the stuff. There's other people who are also not getting seen and they're suffering like me. They're the people I should have been friends with in junior high kind of thing, but I wasn't aware of their suffering. So
Yeah. It's a lot like popularity contests all over again.
exactly. Like I'm too old and I'm too this and I'm too that and whatever. And, and it doesn't translate to money for the algorithm, that's the bottom line. It isn't about what's popular to everybody else. In reality, we're being told what should be popular at this point because it's no longer like back in the day. The stuff that blew up on the internet was super random. Like some of it was like, you know, more pop culture-y, but there was just like some really random shit out there that got really popular because people are random. And now it's like the algorithms dictating to us and people don't realize that what we're exposed to, we normalize to it and we start to be drawn to it. So like, if you get really used to seeing certain types of content, then that's what you look for. And it's like this perpetuating cycle of just making money for the company. It's not really about us or what we want to see anymore.
Which I find very silly.
Yeah.
And ridiculous, because it's like, I'm here because I want to see certain things, not because I want certain things fed to me,
Yeah, exactly. I think for people who joined the internet in the last decade or so, they really don't know the difference. But, you know, previous to that, before the algorithms really started to like dominate everything, and I would say the last 5 years has been like extra bad, but like, we can remember a time when you would go online to socialize. You actually got to see what you wanted to see, and you saw the people that that you followed. And I it's like when they started pushing the algorithm, that's when you started getting the like everybody's following thousands of people. And and you can't keep up with that many people. It's like, I know some people look, because I like on TikTok, my main account, I only follow like 300 people or something. And I know some people look at that and they won't follow because they're like, oh, I'm not going to get followed back or whatever. But like, I'm how I can't even keep up with those 300 people. Like, what, why am I going to follow more? It's disingenuous, in my opinion.
Yeah. While I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go through my list and I'm gonna, start like unfollowing, because it's like, one, it's too many people. Two, it's like, these people have never interacted with any of my stuff anyway, and I've never seen the post, so it's like, what's the point?
Right. Yeah, exactly. On X, I follow people back because there's a culture of expectation around that. But I look at their content, and depending on what their content, I just mute them right away. So that way they're not cluttering up my feed with stuff. That's something I like on Blue Sky, is you can filter out reposts. So because that's like, I don't, if all somebody does is repost other people's stuff, they can follow me and repost me, that's fine. But like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what people actually have to say for themselves, or like photos of their food or whatever, right? I'm interested in the people, not stuff out there, right? Like the reposts to me are kind of like being sent videos in DM. It's not personal interaction. Um so the fact that Blue Sky allows me to turn that off is really nice. And the thing is, you still see reposts if it's a quote. So if the person responds and puts their own part, you still see that. So that's nice, because I like that, you know. And I wish I could do that on X. I just mute people that only repost.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they made it more like, I guess, editable to like what you can see, what you can't see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
make it more filtering.
Yeah, I do use the muted words function on X quite a bit, which helps. So especially in the horror community, sorry guys, but they talk about the same shit way too much, and everybody's got an opinion, and I don't care. Like, I don't care how they feel about the Terrifier movies at all. Like, it's not that. It puts me off from watching the movies to have people being like totally over the top. Oh my God, this is so amazing, or like whatever. And it doesn't feel real. It feels like they're all hyping each other up into this lathered reaction about something. And it's like, it's too much. It's like if one person or two people said something, but when it's like, that's like, you go in your feed is just that, and you've never interacted with any of it, and the algorithm's still pushing it on you. I'm like, come on, man. So I just like terrifier is one of my words that, and then spoilers and spoiler are other words because there's always the people when a new movie is going to come out that go out onto the internet into like public spaces and then tell people, if you post a spoiler about this movie, I want to see you're a bad person. And I can't. There's so much entitlement, like, and privilege built into that. And I'm like, if you don't want to see spoilers, use the muting tool. Mute the words that will help protect you from seeing spoilers instead of trying to control everybody else to keep you comfortable. Use the tools. And then in your personal life, when people come into your house or call you on the phone, you can set a boundary. But like in a public space with an algorithm that is literally tailored to your interests. So if you've been talking about the movie, it's going to show you things from random people you don't know about the movie, right? And then you're going to put it out there. You're a bad person if you spoil it, but the algorithm's just going to show you the spoilers because it's on topic. Like, so logically use the tools to take ownership of your comfort instead of trying to control the world around you and make up arbitrary values. Like it drives me batty. And so I had to put that in there because it was making me like unfollow people because I was losing respect for them.
Yeah, I know people who actively don't go on social media until they've seen the movie that they're waiting to see because they know people are going to be posting about it.
Exactly.
And they don't get mad because it's like, well, then why don't you remove yourself from the situation if you get so upset about it, right? People are going to talk about it because they watched it. Of course they're going to talk about it.
Yeah. It's like, take personal responsibility for your own feelings. You know, I like, when my son was little, he thought it was funny to spoil things sometimes. It was a very short phase, thankfully. And he would wait until we were hanging out in person and he would tell me something and spoil it for me. And it was so rude. And I was just like, dude, really? See, that is where it's not okay. But it's like he knew what he was doing. And it's really like when you're having a one-on-one conversation, if they bring up the movie, it's really easy to be like, okay, don't tell me anything else. And they should respect that. And if they don't respect that, then yeah, they're a dick, right? But like, to go into a public space, it's like going into a restaurant and you overhear a spoiler because somebody's sitting at the table next to you talking about the movie and then getting mad at them for it. Like it's the exact same thing. And it's silly. And I've complained about it, but people actually stand up. No, it's rude to spoil. I'm like, no, you guys are all brainwashed into believing that in this value system that involves not controlling your environment and trying to control everybody else. Like, take responsibility for your shit. Like, I don't know. It's just so like and then as a person who never gets to see movies at all. Like I don't ever have the money to see them. So until they're free for streaming. So I don't even get to enjoy things so I could never like based on they're like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be able to see the movie for a week or two. So it's reasonable. I'm like, no, where's the line? I mean, really, like, cause I could be like, hey, what about poor people that can't see the movie until it comes out on streaming, don't spoil it. Like it's, it's the same thing. Like it just, I don't know. It's so weird to me and people don't see it. At my last job, we had a no spoiler rule for if the whole office was watching the same show. We had a don't talk about it for 7 days after the episode came out. Like, so Breaking Bad was one of the shows. I think Dexter was another one. And that was like, that seemed like a reasonable agreement because it was, in a social environment. And so we just had like this rule, but they weren't going out into the world and telling people, you can't talk about that. Like, it's just, yeah. I don't think people realize like they're not thinking about the fact that there's millions upon millions of people on that app that the algorithm is going to be sorting through their data to push it based on what we're engaging with,
And plus, like, movies come out at different times at different places. So if you have people who had access to it first, and then you get mad at them for talking about it, it's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like use the muted words, mute the movie titles and stuff, or don't go online until you can see it if it's really important to you or
Right?
whatever. For me, like hearing details doesn't really spoil so much because most things I don't care that much. My brain is really good at figuring out. I mean, like horror movies, they're not ever novel. Like it's like spoilers in horror movies are not, to me, not that much of a thing. There are some exceptions, but just generally they're horror movies. But like oh, I just brain farted. Let me see if I can get
Oh
back
no.
to it. I just like my brain just like lost the train of thought.
Come back.
Oh no, what was I saying? Maybe.
You're talking about how horror movies are formulaic, or how you can figure them
Oh
out.
yeah, and then it's people's opinions that tend to be spoiler for me. So if I am bombarded with a whole bunch of negativity or a whole bunch of like, it's the best movie ever, it makes me not want to watch it. It like puts me off, So it's like I want to see the Alien movie, and one of my friends offered to send me the funds so that I could like rent it. It's like $20. I'm not paying $20. I don't care if someone else is paying for it. I'm not paying $20 to rent a fucking movie. Like it doesn't even cost that much to go to the theater. I'm like, just on principle,
Yeah.
that's bullshit. Yeah. So, but he, he, he was like, oh yeah, I just watched it. It was really great. Let me know how I can get the funds to you. I'm like, yeah, and I'm I you just made me not want to watch it yet. So I know it's like, but it's also too expensive.
You give me the 20, I'm gonna not spend it on the thing though. I'm gonna spend it on something else that I actually need.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, I'll watch it eventually, but I don't know why. I don't know if that's part of the PDA thing being,
What is that
like
for again?
pathological demand avoidance. But
Oh.
I've always had a really hard time with like popular things. It's just super like off-putting for me. Also, like a lot of times the things that are popular are not very good either. Like there are exceptions. Like on occasion there'll be bands or there'll be a song that's good and it gets popular. But a lot of the like mainstream stuff that's popular is very easy to digest and doesn't require like very much like thinking, and that's not what I enjoy. So it also, a lot of times when everybody says something's good, there's a high probability I'm going to find it oversimplistic. So there's also that part.
Have you ever watched the movie Inception?
Yeah. That was
What'd you
one of
think of
those
it?
hyped up movies.
Overhyped? Oh, gee, that's too bad.
Yeah. It was okay, but it was overhyped. It took me. I ended up seeing it in the theater because somebody dragged me, but I was like, I was already put off because everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna have it, and I was just like, dude, it's just a movie. Come on. So, and it was predictable. Like I have like my brain does like connects weird shit. Like in The Sixth Sense, like I knew right away. When I watched Mr. Robot, I knew by the end of the second episode, like what was going on in Mr. Robot. And like my coworkers were like talking it out. And I was like, I think it's this. And they're like, no, it can't be that. And it was that. So, and I was just like, I don't know I can't always tell you how I got there. It just, my brain will do the Sherlock thing. And I used to have a housemate that we became like good friends. And she would find things to watch with me, not tell me anything about them, and then be like, okay, you have to like externalize your thoughts about it, because she was like amazed by the way that I would like guess
That's
right
awesome.
really early in. And she's just like, how do you do that? Like, and I'm like, I don't know, but that means I'm right? Like, so, and I do like watching foreign stuff because it is less predictable for me because they're pulling from different mythos or pulling from different like approaches to storytelling. Like some of the things that are prioritized are different. And like the movie Old Dog.
Oh, that's what I've been meaning to watch.
Yeah, that one was I really like that movie, and I always tell people watch the Korean film, don't watch the American film, because it's so much better. The acting and the the revenge aspect of Korean storytelling it's just captured in a way in the original that the American just doesn't do a good job of. And yeah, it's definitely, I definitely think it's like worth watching, but it's a movie you actually have to pay attention to. So just FYI, like,
I'll probably watch it like more than once then,
yeah,
just to see if there's anything that I missed.
yeah, I've seen it a couple times.
That's
Just
cool.
because I was like, was it, did I actually like it that much? It's like I had to like, because there's not a lot of movies that I like walk away from and be like, oh wow, I think I like that. But
That's cool.
yeah.
I'll have to ask you for for
Huh?
shows or movie. What's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Dang it! Now it's my turn to like um suggestions. Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
suggestions works, I guess.
Yeah. My son and I give each other recommendations on shows, which is nice. Especially he'll tell me like about anime because I'm really picky. Um, and it's nice just to have like, because we're so similar minded about things, that the things that we're going to enjoy are, like we tend to notice the same actors for the same reasons and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
So that's
cool.
kind of cool. I like, it would be funny to do like a series and be like, Leigh recommends, because it would be totally hypocritical for me. Like, with the fact that I don't care about like other people's reviews or opinions and be like, here's my opinion. Like, I couldn't do it. The hypocrisy would like stress me out too much.
If it was like if you're doing it sarcastically, maybe you could.
Yeah, I know. And like just make fun of stuff and,
Yeah, as a joke.
yep.
Here's the part of the show where he recommends.
I would need to watch it with other people so that, like when I watched Insidious with my friend who like literally like screamed and threw his phone, because then I could like like highlight his reactions and be like, well, I thought it was funny, but it was clearly super creepy because he screamed and threw his phone. I don't have the same reaction to horror that other people do. Like I tend to laugh a lot, and like when I was younger, it was literally my comedy, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser and all. They were just fucking hilarious. And I know they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be scary, but they're not real. It's so the basis of the story is so ridiculous, like that you know, it's the stuff that creeps me out is the stuff that walks the line with reality. Like Gerald's Game by Stephen King, where there's like, an abusive partner and then the
Oh
person
man.
basically being trapped in their own sort of like nightmare of their making, where there's nothing actually supernatural going on, but you can't tell for sure because that kind of thing, like
Ooh,
that's
yeah.
the stuff that will creep me out and I get stressed out about. But like full on horror is it's just silly. It's just so ridiculous, you know?
Did you
Yeah.
ever watch sorry, Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah. Like when I was a kid, because my parents watched it, but I never
Oh.
went back. No, that's not true. I think I might have went back and rewatched it when I was in my early teens. The only thing I remember about it was the finger sucking seen. But
I haven't watched it at all, but I'm just kind of like, I wonder how you would react to that.
Yeah. I should like go back and watch some of the old horror stuff. I know like Hellraiser, I was enthralled by Pinhead, like just the whole like because they had a backstory for him and stuff like the horror bad guys always have so much like story, so they're always interesting. I loved Candyman, the first one. Didn't enjoy the second one as much. I had like
they turned into like a show.
Did they?
On Netflix, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I saw it at least.
Yeah, that's probably better. I don't know.
Confused with different things.
There's some really good horror shows. Like Helix was good. That was a couple that one came out years ago, and it was season 2 is really fucking weird. But I really liked it. But it also has an actor guy that I like. Let me see. I have actors that I like enough that I will, if they're in it, I'll watch no matter what the genre is, just because I like the actor so much.
Oh, that's cool.
And let's see, who's that guy? Hiroyuki Sanada.
Oh,
he's in like.
I don't remember if I know that.
He's in all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm trying to find a good picture because then I can like. This is kind of what he looks like now. He's like. There we go. But he's a really good actor. He's always in good stuff. And it's usually like whatever he's in is interesting. So
that's awesome.
And it's kind of fun to watch. Like that's how I got into Doctor Who again, actually, was because Chris Eccleston. I saw him in a movie called Jude like years before, and that movie was so like it just imprinted on me. It was so powerful. And so he was a fascinating actor because he's very weird looking, and he does like micro expressions really good. And he's weird looking, but then he's not, because he has this charisma and stuff, right? So it's kind of like Jeff Goldblum, where it's like if you just look at the features, you're like, huh? But then when you put in their personality, it changes things. But so I just started, anything he was in, I would watch it. And he was the 9th Doctor, and he was really good in that. Like I couldn't handle Tennant, like the 10th Doctor, after Eccleston at first. It took me like a year to be like, yeah, this guy's okay. But yeah, there's some other, like Tilda Swinton. She's another one that I love her stuff. Anything
I remember you mentioning her.
Yeah, she was in this movie with Idris Elba.
Oh.
And he's another actor that the only thing I haven't seen with him in it, like that I've gone on my way to avoid, was the Dark Tower stuff. But that was like, it was a really cute movie that they were in together. And it is not like a phenomenal movie, but it was fun, It's just like, and to me, I felt like the actors did it because it was fun, not because it was a serious project or whatever. There's just like some movies that you can tell that the actors are just doing it because they want to, and the movie definitely vibed like that. I can't remember, it was like 1,000 Years of something. I can't remember the name of it, but there's The Big C, that TV show about the lady with the cancer, and Idris Elba's in that. You get to see his butt. It is not the worst thing. I'm not big into objectifying, but he has a very, very like artistic ass, I made myself blush. I just remember I was watching that when my stepmom was going through her cancer stuff. So it was like very like emotional. And then there was that scene. I was like,
Aww. I'm suddenly reminded of that one quote. Was it? How did it put it? Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has them, but something. I don't remember the rest of it.
Yeah.
Something else. I was like,
Indians are like assholes. Everyone's got one. Yeah, I don't remember what the rest of it is. It tends to stop at that.
yeah, because I remember there's something else after that, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. I think it's something like, but not. But people don't want to see it unless invited. It's that kind of sentiment. I just don't remember what the wording
something
is.
Like that.
Yeah.
Just because you have it doesn't mean you have to show it or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah. Trying to think the name of that other actress that I really like. She was in she's like Tony something. She was in this Australian film where she lights her fart on fire. Which I already liked her, but that just, oh my God, that like did me in. I was just, no, I'm in love with her now. She was in Hereditary, which is like another horror film that it's I liked it because it is just an interesting story and it's not just like lazy horror, It's like psychological. But she's in a bunch of other stuff too. So but if she's in it, I'll watch it.
That's awesome. Did you ever watch Silence of the Lambs?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I read the book and then I watched the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, and the book is good. The movie is good too. I mean, is what's his face? Anthony Hopkins, he just plays that character so good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Hannibal? It's like the TV series based on Silence of the Lamb or based on it's the Red Dragon.
Not yet. I have not watched it though.
Mads Mikkelsen plays come on brain. Plays the guy, the cannibal guy. And he's very charismatic and it's very confusing. Oh, yeah. Like just
he's good. Another great actor.
Yeah, he was in that game I played recently, Death Stranding.
Oh, cool.
And because they used like a whole bunch of actors in it, and he played this character.
That's why they looked so familiar. I was like, that looks like that one. What is his name? Where have I seen it?
Yeah. So he and he looks so cool in the game, like the black stuff going down his face and stuff. Ooh. I was just like, it just looks so cool. I don't know, it added, I didn't really, because I'm not like, I have actors I follow because I like how they act and it's interesting to see the different things that they choose to do, but I don't know very much about them as people because I don't care, right? Like it's like, it doesn't mean anything to me. So, I was surprised to be that impacted by getting to see these different actors in this project. And, I think it was more like about the fact that it's video games and these famous people were being pulled into this world that, at one point was, when I was growing up was very nerdy and not embraced. And so to see these people, embrace it and be involved in it is really cool. Because like Conan O'Brien was in it as well. He was just a very small side part, but it was like a surprise because, because I don't read reviews and stuff, I don't know beforehand. So when I started watching it, the only actor I knew was in it was the Norman Reedus guy. And then all of the rest were like surprises to me. And so, when I saw Conan O'Brien in there, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like how much fun is that these people all got to work on this project, So, and it used to be the sort of pop culture bleed for video games early on that kind of legitimized video games were musicians. So like the guy from Cell Dweller, and then the Nine Inch Nails, and there's a couple other bands that they ended up doing like soundtracks for video games kind of earlier on. And then Wipeout, the first Wipeout, the soundtrack, and that was really exciting. Like the Prodigy was on there before the Prodigy got really big. I was like deep into that kind of music, so like I knew most of the bands on that soundtrack, and they were like, this is like way before, I think it was another 2 or 3 years before they got popular. And there was another game called Reloaded that Pop Will Eat Itself did the soundtrack for, which was really exciting too. It was like just the bleed of one area of interest for me into another area of interest. And I think it's taken longer for the actors and stuff to,
get on board.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Join me next week for the continuation of this conversation. Want to support my creative chaos and get access to exclusive content? Check out my Patreon. Have a great week.